Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. You've tuned into the ITKeyMedia podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And our guest today is Paweł Osterreicher, the co-founder of ReSpo.Vision, a deep tech company that is revolutionizing football, soccer for the time being, with cutting-edge AI research tools used to watch and analyze football games. Hello, Paweł.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone.
So how come AI to be used for sports and specifically football? Whose decision was that? Having in mind all the hype and useful and less useful hype about AI, you go ahead and put together a strong team to dive into like soccer for the time being, soccer, football, AI disruption. Should I say?
Yes. With AI, as with any other innovation or technological innovation, the thing is that it happens first, but it happens only in a limited scale. And then it progresses, covering further and further use cases. If you think about it from a technological perspective, a use case of optical recognition of objects, ball, and players in sports, especially in crowded sports such as football, soccer, is actually on the more difficult end of the scale. So no surprise that computer vision and AI has been introduced to business a few years ago, actually around 5, 6, 7 years ago, on a commercial scale. On a scientific scale, academical scale, it was present even 10, 15 years ago. On a commercial scale, a few years ago. And only recently, further use cases, such as the football and sports use case, has become feasible, meaning has the algorithms has become good enough, powerful enough, and to be able to solve with a high fidelity, high accuracy, such cases as recognizing players, their body parts in 3 dimensions in continuous fashion. So I've been working in the field. I've been working in AI computer vision field. So I saw firsthand how this progress has been made from one use case to another use case. And when I realized that the technology is sufficiently advanced that it can cover up to then uncharted territory of sports, I decided that it's a great opportunity to actually enter the field and try to disrupt the sports analytics on my own. So that's how it came to be.
Yeah, okay, I understand. So, Paweł, staying still on the very general kind of like high-level view at AI as such, there are proponents and very strong opponents, and some of the opponents, of course, they are like very visible celebrities, let's say, or popular people, and visionary thinkers and so on. They are warning against AI. How do you react to such opinions? Strong opinions by critically minded people of high caliber, like Elon Musk, for instance, of course.
Yes, that is correct. So what Elon and the others are referring to is known as general AI. So AI that encompasses holistic thinking processes and basically is superior to human mind. What we are dealing with, and what every single AI implementation currently in the world is about, is a specific purpose-driven AI implementation. So AI system does not understand anything, if I may use understand, in quote unquote, and does not understand anything else than the particular task at hand, to solving which it was designed. So at the very face of it, my answer is that so far we are not dealing with such type of AI. Therefore, no need to be afraid. But if we think about the future, and I'm fairly sure that's what they are really intending, preparing humanity or our society for the future threats of AI, I'm very much agreeing with them. The question then, the real question is, how much time do we have left? So the consensus between the scientists and between the practitioners is that it will happen somewhere in the next decades. It won't happen in next year or in 2 years. Like we are not seeing the path towards that. So it's a matter of decades. And I'm also supportive of the belief that it will happen sometime. My answer as a person with with innovative approach and innovative who likes innovative thinking is that we should become more and more familiar. We should prepare ourselves better by actually doing and learning more about AI, so that we will be able to better respond when the technology will be ripe enough to be of general AI type. So instead of shutting it all down because there is a fear that someday it might become dangerous, I do believe that we should proceed with caution, but we should proceed, learn more, and be better prepared once we see the actual potential of it to become powerful. So that's my answer to such comments, which are generally speaking true. But you should keep in mind the time scale.
Okay, so you still give humanity the chance to survive, and I understand, like improvising a little bit, but that's an interesting topic to touch on. AI as such hasn't received yet any limits so far. So AI is like conquering an industry after industry, right? And when robots were envisioned first in like Karl Čapek's works and so on, it led to some philosophers and scientists create this set of rules for robotics. You know them, right? Like don't harm humans, don't harm yourself. If second comes into clash with the first, go by the but think of your own survival unless first two prevail, and so on and so on. Do you think it'll be wise to create some kind of a constitution or very simple kind of manifesto for AI globally to avoid negative consequences of AI expansion?
So yeah, there are two aspects to that I would like to touch upon. First, answering your question directly, I do believe such efforts are necessary, and such efforts are already in place, and some visionaries. I would point especially to Nick Bostrom, who is one of the most important futurologists when it comes to AI and proponents of particular actions that we should do to avoid things. For instance, Bostrom has actually drafted a set of rules or set of directions which we should utilize and implement in order to avoid such things. So generally speaking, I do believe such governance is needed and should be taken on a multinational level. And here is when the second part of what I would like to cover comes to play, because of the fact that such coordination is needed at the global level, it might be extremely difficult in an environment that we are in. I will point to an obvious example of, let's say, Western world and Chinese sphere of influence versus Chinese sphere of influence. The one being very decentralized and governments not controlling the corporations. One might actually say that to a certain extent, corporations control the governments in the Western world, while in Chinese sphere of influence is totally opposite. Governments controls everything. So the coordination of such problem, having two totally different spheres and setups, might be extremely difficult. And unfortunately, the global coordination is needed. What use of Western world or Chinese world imposing a set of rules to prevent us from artificial intelligence doing harm to humanity if the other party, whatever it will be, the other party does not do that because they will believe that competition is more important and they will try to win the race by allowing themselves to be more liberal with the AI. So unfortunately, we are faced with a kind of a prisoner dilemma, a type of situation where coordination of multiple agents is required in order for the whole system to work, and that's actually what is the real problem here. And obviously, it's a subject for a totally different discussion, but then again, an extremely important and extremely interesting one.
So, guys, now you've witnessed a monologue by a CEO of a deep tech company, proving that the CEO is also a deep thinker. Coming back to the product, I understand what you want to say, that your product and your project startup is working on an AI tool which is enabling humanity rather than replacing, right? Or imposing on humanity. Great. Let's move on to the scenario itself then, and start with round one, the solution, the product, the app. In a very short terms, kind of, how would you describe the program that you're developing, and then we'll switch to the to the video, okay? Just to visualize it better.
Sure, sure. Basically, we are trying to develop a better and more in-depth analytics for sports. We believe that there is more in the sporting games, sporting events, more than what we are currently looking at and recording. We are currently looking at, if I may say so, as a viewers, but also as a companies working on the data. We are currently looking at a specific level of details when it comes to sports, such as events and player tracking. There is more than that. For instance, three-dimensional views of player body movements, of ball movements, etc., etc. So what we are trying to do is to introduce this deeper level of understanding using data acquisition mechanisms such as computer vision and artificial intelligence.
Yes, okay, great intro. And let's then try and have a look at the video demo. Okay, Paweł, so I can see here what a final match between France and Croatia, 2018. And at this frame, what do we see? And explain a little bit how this is important and what's the outcome of that. And then we'll put the video on. Okay?
So, yeah, sure. So basically, what we see here is the system, the output of the system that recognizes players' body parts and also identifies players by the name. So two things here. If you and also identifies the ball. If you have a look at at Brozovic, which is in the middle, you see the ball in the yellow, which he is controlling. You see his silhouette, which consists of 20 body parts that the system detects. Body parts such as knees, elbows, head, torso, etc. And also you see him recognized and actually correct name attributed. How we did that? By his specific features and by the number he wears on the shirt, which can easily be cross-checked that Brozovic number.
Yes, okay, let's put on the video then and comment what we see then.
Sure. So right now, as what you see is all the players and referees are quite correctly identified, and their body parts, although they are moving in quite swift fashion, the body parts are detected continuously. So what the system has achieved, it has achieved a accuracy frame by frame, which allows it to detect 20 body parts of each player and the ball in 3 dimensions. Because that's also a very important thing that what we know is not only position on the picture, which is obviously 2-dimensional, but position in a 3-dimensional reality. So for instance, for Rakitic, who now has a ball, we know all positions of his body parts all the way when he was visible on the screen. So, and this has been achieved only from one camera, which is another feat, because up to date other systems has relied on multiple cameras cross-checking each other, making it easier to actually detect what's going on. Here we have one camera, TV broadcast camera, that allows the system to accurately predict, not even predict, to detect positions of the players, the ball, and their identities.
Look, and the limitation here is that you can gather the data only of the players that are visible by this camera shot, right? Camera angle,
yes,
I mean.
With this particular camera, that is correct, but our system can work on multiple separate cameras or on a broader cameras, such as panoramic cameras, if needs be. So for this particular case, obviously we don't see what is not on the screen, but the system is not limited by that.
Okay, Paweł, thanks. And now what we have seen now is to be consumed by what groups of clients, consumers of your vision?
Sure. Exactly. So our company has 3 main target groups of customers. First are the bookmakers, who are dealing with data on a daily basis, odds calculation, risk management, all those things. So they are very much well suited to receive a numerical data and know what they can do with them to optimize their processes. We also have football clubs and federations, which are actually, I guess, the first group of clients that that comes to mind if you think about our company. And they can use our system for tactical analytics, performance analytics, but also for scouting purposes. And here is where actually the scalability and the flexibility of our system that can work from one camera comes to play, and is actually a very solid proposition, because we don't need to install cameras on every stadium they want to scout. We just need an access to a TV broadcast feed, and right now every country has multiple leagues with TV coverage. And the third group of customers are media companies that might use the insights and analytics and statistics that we take from the 3D body positions, speed, accelerations, dribble types, etc., and that may take that and enhance the visuals of the transmission, adding some data layers onto transmission. So those are the three groups that we perceive as our key customer groups.
Yes. Okay. And what's the biggest vertical, you would say, of those three? So bookmakers, clubs and federations, and media and TV. Which one?
Bookmakers, because of the fact that they are already very much data driven. That is correct.
Okay. A very let's say question that is burning in my mind about a specific player. How does it look for a specific player? Are you able to focus, for instance, on a player from, say, 30 seconds before a player, he or she, receives the ball, and then more or less like 5 or 10 seconds after the player is not doesn't have the ball in the possession, you know what I mean? Like, and then you can actually analyze performance of a specific player. Okay, so how he, let's say, if this is a football, like one of the major leagues and so on, how he behaves before getting the ball, like the movement on the pitch, how he opens up and runs away from the defenders and so on, and right after. And then if these pieces, these periods, stretches of time could be pulled together for a player, that would be in my mind, it's like would be a bombshell, basically, not only for scouting but also for players themselves and players managers as well, right?
So yes, I agree with you that that's very interesting analysis that you can make with such data that we provide, we gather. And
is it doable? Is it doable?
Yes, it is, because if you think about it, we analyze the system. The system itself does not focus on any particular player. It captures all the data. Therefore, in post-analysis can actually filter and make specific analysis for particular players, for particular formations, such as defense, midfield, etc., or for particular teams. So that is very much an option, and that is very much something the clubs are looking for. For instance, we have been working on specific use case, analyzing particular players receptions of the ball, meaning the way the player's body is oriented when he or she, in our case he, receives the ball, just before receiving the ball, whether he is looking at the at person who is about to pass the ball, or even more importantly, whether his body is oriented into direction with that will help to quickly move the action forward, because it's totally different if you are receiving the ball and your back is your back is facing the goal, than when you receive the ball directionally with your body already turning into direction of the goal, and that allows you to move faster with the ball and increasing the pace of the build up, and therefore creating a higher chance of scoring a goal because of the swiftness of movement. So those are the types of analysis that clubs are interested in and are willing to cover with this additional data layer that we are providing. Because what I just wanted to finish this thought with is that you cannot analyze the position, the orientation of the body with just two-dimensional data. If every player is like a dot on the plane, because if every player is a dot on the plane, you have no idea what direction he or she is facing. Only if you have the three-dimensional capabilities, such as elbows, torso, etc., you can only then you can see the three-dimensional body orientation and do such analytics as the one I mentioned.
including the way a player is looking, right? At a specific time.
Yes. We capture several points on the head.
Several points on the head itself. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. It's like, like Messi, before receiving the ball, Messi would usually look around and see where the defenders are, and then it looks like magic, but he already has a map in his mind, basically, and knows what to do.
Yes, exactly. You can think of showing it as a kind of a radar, like a yellow radar, covering the direction in which he's looking.
Okay, so look what you are doing to people. As soon as you convince your fans or users or interviewers like me, as soon as you convince that you have lots of data on lots of dimensions and kind of layers over layer and so on, ideas start to sparkle by themselves.
Yes, that is correct.
Just to finish this one, imagine we make a compilation of let's say how Messi reacts just like 5 seconds, 10 seconds before receiving the ball, because what he does after that we know, but 5-10 seconds before receiving the ball, and then we compile that, make a kind of a best practices or algorithms, understand them, and then transfer to young players. Is this possible, do you think?
It is very much possible. I have read an analytical article covering a specific player from Premier League. His name is Daniel Calvert-Lewin. He's a forward, and he actually plays for England national team in Europe. So this player has been known for actually being able to lose defenders a second before the pass arrives at his location. So he's doing a very sudden, swift changes of movement, exactly like this. Like he pretends he's going left,
changing directions.
Exactly, and thanks to that, he's quite often unmarked when he receives the ball, therefore increasing his chances to score a goal. And this analysis was based only on eye observation. So specific person looked through his videos and found out by using his or her brain that is actually the case. With our tools, we can measure that. We can measure how much in meters, centimeters, inches, how much space does he usually gains while doing those things, and what specific types of movements he is making. Whether he's doing the fakes with upper body or more with his legs, and all such things. So definitely what you said is already considered an important factor in analysis, and thanks to technology such as ours, it can be pushed even further and understood better.
I have to ask one more question.
Sure.
You analyze the video which is publicly available in the public domain only, or whoever comes to you with the rights for this video, right? This is clear. But then, what is there any other big depository of videos that you can use of, let's say, major football kind of leagues and tournaments?
So the rights, the issue of rights and right holders in football is quite a complex one. Currently, we are in the middle of a trend where particular leagues are securing their rights to the content. So they are not only selling it to the television, which was the case from 20 years ago up until now, but they are specifically dividing what part they sell to TV, and this is only a, let's say, broadcasting rights to the games. Which are separated from data rights, meaning right to analyze and do additional data analytics on top of data, and they separate it from another content, and that's a major trend in sporting rights, which is obviously something we have to address, and we are addressing. But but effectively it means you have multiple. I don't mean 5 or 6, but more like 300, 500 right owners for specific purposes. So that makes it more difficult to actually arrive at one repository which you were referring to. Unfortunately, none such repository exists. There are attempts at creating such repository by particular companies, but they are not covering everything. For instance, Premier League is very much guarded or guards itself against such attempts because it's the most popular and the most expensive, therefore, set of rights. So answering your question, no such repository exists. There are attempts, but then again, our logic of our system, which is that we don't need a specific type of recording, but we can do with any recording, any quality TV broadcast recording, makes us more tuned to thrive in such environment, because we just need the any type of recording. It doesn't necessarily have to be a particular type of recording. So that's the reality, and we're doing our best to thrive in such reality.
Okay. So last question about the product. The video source video can be recorded by any camera, including, attention, smartphone camera.
Yes, as long as it's of sufficient quality. But for instance, iPhone cameras are already of sufficient quality, because at the end of the day, you will have the issue. The system is better than human, but the system is not omnipotent. So if you have a player which is represented by 8 pixels, not even general AI, which we were referring at the very beginning of our conversation, will help with anything, because it's physically, I mean, physics as in science, it's physically impossible to make detection. So sufficiently high quality, and I would say the border is HD. So HD or higher, you can basically do those type of analytics.
Which is almost mainstream currently with the smartphones.
HD is mainstream. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Let's move on then to the business side. How many clients do you have? Are there any paying clients? What are your perspectives, or let's say forecast as far as sales basically for this year, 2021? And as we are now in the middle of European Championship, I understand you have lots of, or you might have lots of talks after the championship, or even right now.
Yes. The championship the championships are the pivotal point in terms of product delivery and discussion. So obviously, having championship in 2021 helped. And as per the clients, we have few customers. We have several customers from the bookmaking world, those being bookmakers themselves, but also bookmaking platforms. And we have a few customers from the clubs and federations space. One name I can use actually is Paris Saint-Germain. We work with them on the data analytics part, but we also have a few other customers with whom we work. We are generating revenue. That's the brand new thing for us. We're a startup with a 12-month-year-old startup. Develop the product, and now starts generating revenue. So we are quite we have quite optimistic projections for 2021. But the year in which we want to actually gain full speed and scale, especially since the every element of product will be ready, is the year 2022.
Okay. So speaking of PSG, I understand. This is a pilot, or this is already a paying customer?
So we have finalized the pilot, and we are entering the further work with them.
Okay. So for PSG, if the pilot is successful, for other clubs, let's say in this case, what's the pricing model that you have for clubs?
For clubs, it's fairly simple. It's we offer our product on a SAS as a SAS platform. So the platform that they can access, they can upload, analyze, and gain insights from. So the pricing obviously differs between the coverage level and then depth of analytics. But generally speaking, you can say it's around a few thousand euros per month. So on one hand, it's a significant effort, but on the other hand, if you think how much a club such as PSG pays for a second team young midfielder monthly, then it isn't that much. It isn't that much. So the pricing based on our investment and our costs is quite interesting and quite approachable for football clubs. I believe so.
Yeah. So, and this is all inclusive, right? So at 3,000, let's say, sorry, in the range of several thousand per month, you said, right? I can have access to all the capability of the system. Anywhere.
Yes. The fortunate part is that it's scalable, so it doesn't cost us that much to work with further games. Yeah, because the real investment is the initial investment in actually training, building, and reviewing the model.
Yes, and it's not self-sufficient. You do have to get involved with the client to teach the model, the players' names, I don't know, numbers and so on. Or can the clients do this by themselves, and you are not involved in the front end induction of the client, so to say?
Mm-hmm. So first induction is needed, but the things such as recognizing player names, etc., we have already automated, because basically you need to know the name of the game and the date of the game, the name of the clubs that are playing the game and the date of the game, and our database will automatically upload things like player shirts, player numbers, pitch sizes, etc., which will allow it to work smoothly and automatically.
There's some scraping kind of layer behind, right?
There are databases. There are companies which offer such databases, and they are very much correct and easily accessible.
Yeah. Public domain for many years already. Paweł, I think we have to stop here. Otherwise, we would go deep discussing deep tech deep into the night. Let's move on to the next round.
Sure.
Paweł, round 2, competitors. I browsed around, surfed on the internet, and to be honest, I'm quite surprised that there is so many differences with the competitors. But cover yourself, choose a couple, and how do you differ, where you are the best, and more importantly, probably where you lag behind and what you need to develop to.
Sure. There are a few groups of competitors that I would like to mention that are worth mentioning. First groups are the most powerful and the biggest competitors, which are the companies that provide data about the sports, mainly to the bookmakers. Those companies are Sportradar, Genius Group, or BetGenius, or Kambi. For instance, those are huge companies. Sportradar is doing IPO worth $10 billion as we speak. BetGenius or Genius Group has just done SPAC worth over $1 billion a few months ago. So those are really big companies.
You mean SPAC, right? SPAC.
Yeah, I think that was the case. Mm-hmm. For sure, Sportradar was considering SPAC, but they went with IPO. That's the news from yesterday.
So they are 20 years old right now, right?
Yes, they are. But in the field that we are entering as ReSpo.Vision, they are the big guns.
Yes.
The thing about them is that they employ manual annotators in order to have this coverage and depth of insight. For instance, Sportradar employs 7,000 manual annotators. It's an army of people who watch the game and annotate things on their tablets. What we are doing and what we are aiming to do is actually automate this process to make these 7,000 people not needed, therefore optimizing costs and improving quality, because to a certain extent, our system can annotate what particular human cannot. Think about all those body parts captured frame by frame. It's humanly impossible to annotate with precision such things. So this is where we are trying to bring innovation to such business models. What we are lacking though is the coverage, the depth of the coverage and the breadth of the coverage, because Sportradar covers over 100 sports, and in each of those sports, majority of the leagues worldwide. That is the result of constant improvements and the hard work over those 20 years. And this is something we have to cover with our hard work and development, and that also extends to sports coverage. And in the case of computer vision systems, AI, and since it's not general AI, it is not that easy transferable from sport to sport. So you have to invest in some development in order to transfer from, for instance, from football/soccer to basketball. So right now we are focused as a company. We are focused solely on football. We plan extending in other sports in the coming years, especially in 2022. And this is something we lack when compared to Sportradar or BetGenius. So that's one group of the customers. The other group of customers are startups more similar to ourselves, which are doing a visual analytics of the game. So they are trying to extract important information from the visuals. And companies that come to mind are Second Spectrum, actually recently acquired by BetGenius for $200 million US, and who covered NBA. They had a data partnership with NBA. The other company is Canadian Sport Logic, which is also quite successful, especially in North American major leagues, covering it. The other company worth mentioning for sure is Skill Corner from France, which have solid two-dimensional capabilities. So they are quite fluent in turning TV broadcast to two-dimensional analytics. What we bring to the table versus the companies I mentioned, we bring to the table third dimension. None of the companies I mentioned can extract with sufficient quality third dimension. So we bring this improvement, and also the scalability factor. So we don't need to rely on multiple cameras. There are many other startups such as Track 160 from Israel, who build a system based on specific set of hardware. So their system works only on particular cameras located in particular places of the stadium, because this is how it was engineered. We believe that it's good and it works, and it's great that such systems are implemented. But in future, with the advancement in technology, which we already have witnessed, the one single camera system will win the race because of their scalability and the cost factor. So we look into that direction as a source of advantage of ourselves against such companies. And the last group of the companies are companies which focus on a very specific subsets of the problem we are tackling, especially football tactics or football analytics. And we ourselves come from a technological and business background. We are not football professionals. We are AI professionals and with some business experience. So we have tackled the problem at large. We have not started from tactical analytics, player performance analytics, injury prevention analytics, etc. We are arriving at those use cases from a different standpoint than many companies that are already present on the market. We are arriving at solutions from the technological perspective. So we have all the data and we model the data against the outcomes, therefore creating some insight. Of course, one might say we lack the muscle or we lack knowledge needed to actually do that. We are exploring multiple partnership opportunities with players in this field, because we are quite well aware of what we are good at: technology, insights, 3D data, etc. And we are quite well aware of that you need, as a startup, you need a focus. You need laser focus in order to survive, in order to spend your resources, allocate your resources wisely. And we have selected the technology and the three-dimensional capabilities, and with this third group, I would say we are looking for partnership or cooperation, where we provide technology and particular startups or organizations provide the know-how. Sometimes the know-how can be provided by the organization itself. That was our case with PSG. PSG is a great club which is run with a high level of professionalism, and the knowledge, the know-how is there. So we brought technology, they brought know-how, and that's how it worked. So that's also, this was the third group of companies present on the market.
Paweł, what can I say? That's like a no comment situation. You covered all the topics and the questions I had in mind for this round. Let's move on to round 3, and let's do a relaxed round, a quick Q&A. What are your key productivity hacks, your own, as a CEO of the company?
So I come from a management consulting background.
That's
I
why I'm
spent
asking.
few years, yeah, I spent few years at BCG. So basically, I would say two things, and those will not be. Can I use like 20 seconds for each? Those will not be like and play hacks. So first hack is about rigidness or rigidness when it comes to problem solving. So every time I'm faced with a problem, I'm trying to get the helicopter view and then analyze it in a digestible part. So try to first structure the problem and only then start to tackle it, because I believe we are too often forced, or we are too often we too often go into solving the problem before thinking actually about the whole scope of it.
Yes.
So that's one productivity hack, if I may say. It's not direct productivity hack, but it helps you save time because you foresee different curveballs and angles of the problem you're about to solve.
Wait. To translate. So you get the problem. Don't look at it with a high definition camera. Try to dissect it into edible parts, and then I should say do a deconstruction of the problem, and then
yes
resolve.
But start with
Yes,
but start with helicopter view. But start with obtaining the helicopter view. So seeing it in full complexity from the above, then dissect it into digestible parts. Create a logic of addressing this part, because it might make a lot of sense to address those two parts first, and only then the other ones. And proceed with the structure in mind, not just plunge into the problem and then try to solve it one by one, because that will most likely won't be the most efficient way of tackling particular problem.
Okay, cool.
So that's the problem solving trick. The other trick I would call it's dealing with uncertainty thing. I mean, it's more a psychological thing than a productivity hack, but in the world of startups, I do believe it's extremely important. So generally speaking, if you're working in startup environment, you are faced with on daily basis with problems to which you don't have enough data. You have lots of uncertainty. You don't know how customers will react. You don't know the data on the market. You don't know the potential numbers which lie in particular markets or actions. So what you have to do is to soldier through such situation and be comfortable with the fact that you never will be in the situation when you can attach a particular number. You should be able to attach directionally, you assess directionally the probabilities, and believe and know that if you are going to make 10 predictions and you do directionally right predictions, the result, although based on 10 predictions, will still be correct. So that's the most important part. So being able to know that at the end of the road you will be okay with the results, as long as you have attached, or as you have as you have shown certain diligence and logic in your steps. I do see that in many cases people are paralyzed by such uncertainty around them and tend to resort to a very binary logic, either do or not do, while the answer is to still go into the problem, try to address or try to assess the probability of particular aspects, add it up, although everything is flying around and is not 100% sure, but believe in the process, because if done correctly, the process will yield a better result than just being afraid of entering and doing this type of analysis. So fighting uncertainty with a logical process, and not being afraid to make wild assumptions, even multiple wild assumptions, because it's at the end of the day, if you do it right, it will work.
Yes. And this logic should be founded on the goal you want to reach, basically, right? The road to the goal can be different and not that easy and so on. But anyways, and otherwise saying, react to the current situation and be ready that the current situation changes all the time.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Well, that's
and don't lose the sight of your goal, or adapt the goal if the situation changes so much that this goal is no more relevant, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, I think it's familiar for every entrepreneur. The thing with adapting the goals, with constantly reassessing whether it is worth pursuing or whether it's worth pivoting or maybe switching a little bit the focus, etc. So that is very much true.
Okay. Paweł, amazing. Let's move on to round four. In round four, we cover the company itself. So you mentioned that you are almost a year old, basically. But this baby of yours combines expertise on many dimensions: data, business, management consultancy, and so on. How many people are on the cap table right now, and how many people are in the team?
So we have two institutional investors. One of our investors, the lead investor in the seed round. We just have one seed round, 1 million euro seed round. The lead investor was FFVC, American venture capital fund from New York, and the other one was ReSpo.Vision, which is a Polish VC fund. So two institutional investors. We have 5 business angels, and obviously 4 co-founders, because we are 4 co-founders: 2 business co-founders and 2 technology co-founders. On the team, we have 15 people in total, 4 co-founders plus 11 employees. Although it will change soon because we are recruiting for 5 positions as we speak. So we aim to reach 22 persons soon.
And what positions you are hiring for right now?
We are hiring for lead engineer, so person able to manage team, developers team consisting of multiple persons. We are hiring for data scientist to work with tabular data, and we are hiring for computer vision engineer to work with visual data, image data, as well as we are hiring for the role of a Python developer, especially needed for implementations and cooperation with customers. And also we are hiring for a business role, business analyst, who will help us with the business outreach and the business strategy.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. Yes, Paweł, great. Let's move on. Round 5, Formula F3, as we call this, funding for the future. And you mentioned already by now you've had a couple of angel investors involved, as well as 2 institutionals, FF Venture Capital and ReSpo.Vision. FF Venture Capital, you didn't say that, but that's US, New York based, I understand, one of the most successful, as they say themselves, early stage investors. And they also invested in other CE company like Space OS and probably some other, but this is the one that's popped up in front of my eyes. Now, what about the next financing round? Are you thinking of that? And if yes, when, how much, and the goals you have in mind?
Sure. So since we have raised the recent financing round 2 months ago, we are looking for the next financing round. In our case, that would be Series A, at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. So we have raised money with keeping in mind 15-18 months runway, and the Series E in our case will require a steady stream of revenues from our products. So that's the biggest challenge that we have, achieving something like 50,000 euros monthly MRR. And if we manage to do that, and I'm fairly certain, very positive about it, that we were going to do that, we are looking at the Series A round of few million euros, 4-5-6 million euros, at valuation of close to 20-30 million euros.
Quite doable, but there is a saying that for Series A you have to be ready with something closer to 100K MRR. Would you agree with that?
Yes, that is very much okay. I'm still factoring in the fact that we are a deep tech company, and you also say that for a seed round you have to have a solid source of revenue. That wasn't the case with us because of the deep tech part, deep tech side of our business. So yes, I'm very much well aware. The more the better. But with longer production cycle, and then the company being deep tech, we are aiming 50K as a baseline. Obviously, the more the better.
Okay. So in other words, you think that what a deep tech company could have a discounted expectations, having the longer term kind of game, right?
Yes, especially since we have a few aces up our sleeves, or if I may say so, a few cards. Because right now we are talking about visual recognition, analytics, etc. We haven't touched upon something which is which is a thing that we would like to develop in future, especially with regards to Series A, and that thing is events or game events probabilities prediction, which can be used for especially for things such as odds setting for bookmakers and better performance analytics for clubs or federations. And this will only become possible once we have a very robust and working data acquisition mechanism, which we are very close to have right now, and once we develop a very sophisticated and tough, but well, if you want to be successful, you have to make sure that you're addressing tough problems. After development of particular machine learning and algorithms and predictive modeling algorithms. So even at Series A, we will have a very, I do believe so, we are going to have a strong story for the future development, and not only scaling of current products, but also developing further products.
So there's a second and probably third layer, right? To
exactly.
Okay, interesting. Paweł, quite honestly, I think I'm like full of ideas and questions. We could go on forever. Let's try to round up now, to wrap up now, and a couple of last questions. Do you have an exit plan right now?
So it's very early to say that, but if you're asking this question, I would say obviously the exit plan is to run the plan A is to run a few successful series and see when it's the right time to exit, the right time to make certain changes in the company, be it series D, E, F, whatever. I would like to have such problem. Plan B of exit is and it's also quite understandable, is to be either acquired or partner or do some kind of a deal with a company with presence in the market, but not that fluent in innovation and especially deep tech, which we are developing. So there are multiple big names, big guns on the market that might come into play once we put our mark on the industry.
And with this, let's get to the exit of this podcast. And before you make your own exit, you have lots of interesting challenges, I'm sure, switching from sport to sport and rolling out all the new programs and products and ideas that you have in your team. But thank you very much, Paweł. That was great. Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Alex. Goodbye, guys. Bye-bye.